I'm Selena Hill, and this is Inside the Studio presented by Black Enterprise. On today's episode, I'll speak with legendary hip-hop producer and Wu-Tang Clan founder RZA about his new film, One Spoon of Chocolate, which spotlights a Black veteran's quest for revenge in a small town in Ohio. I'll also speak to the film's star, Shameik Moore, about the message behind the action-packed film, along with RJ Cyler about his supporting role in the movie. Take a look.
What are you? Some type of hero?
I'm far from that.
You got a temper, problems with anger management.
I've been working on that.
Congratulations on this new film. It is amazing. I mean, every shot, every scene, from the emotion to the fighting, it evokes a lot of emotion and it's just so well done. What are your thoughts on the final product? Like, I know, are you like somebody who's critical of yourself, or how do you feel about it?
Yeah, no, the first time I saw it, I needed to see it again. I am the most critical of myself, period. Even watching Dope for the first time, and I know we're
Hmm.
talking about One Spoon of Chocolate, but even watching Dope for the first time, I was like, in my mind, for some reason, thinking I didn't hit the mark. And
Mm.
immediately after, it was a 5 minute, 10 minute standing ovation, welcoming me to the stage. So, yeah, I'm always going to be my worst critic. The second time I saw the movie, it was like all of the parts that I felt I could have done better because it felt like when I watch myself, anyway, there was moments that felt like I was doing things that made it feel slow. And, you know, when I saw it the second time, it was like I really needed those moments because it gets so crazy, and I know for RZA, when he's putting it together, like he's not watching it for the first time. He painted it. You know what I'm saying? So I think everybody's digesting the first time is like you're trying to figure out what you just felt for real. Like you got pieces over here, pieces over here.
Yeah.
Like how does the body work together? Um, and then it's just like, yeah, every time somebody saw it again or whatnot, it becomes a classic because there's nothing like it on the market right now. So how do I feel about it? I feel excited. I feel blessed. I feel honored. You know, with great power comes great responsibility, and I feel like in this situation, I put on for the community. I stood up for Trayvon Martin in this one. You know what I'm saying? I stood up for Breonna Taylor in this one. I stood up for George Floyd. I stood up for Rodney King in this one, for sure. So, yeah, that's how I feel about it.
You did an amazing job. Speaking of the feelings and the emotion, I caught myself getting very teary-eyed,
Mhm.
very upset,
Mhm.
especially with the storyline really highlighting the racial tensions that have always been here in America historically and still go on today. And I was just like, hold on, is this what is going on in Ohio? Like I'm just I
This is what's
couldn't,
going
I
on
was
in the world. They
yes,
think
going on
this
in
is,
the world, but
yeah.
in a fashion, I think the creative storytelling and obviously it being a Quentin Tarantino film just
Mhm.
exasperates some of the worst parts of our society, but your
Yeah.
character brings that humanity. Can you talk about balancing the art with the reality of racism in America?
It wasn't too much like to me. This is, I mean, not just to me. It's kind of the point why somebody would be affected, especially Black people, because it's not fiction. The only thing that hasn't been seen yet is what my character did, which was go up there and stand up for us, like with his bare hands and a hammer. Everything else is happening, past, present, and will continue to happen in the future unless unique exists in reality. what does fighting back, what does infrastructure, what does standing for something look like for us today? Stand for something or fall for anything. That's really where we are. And I feel like that is the art in the movie. Everything else is just giving it to you. Wu-Tang coded, Malcolm X coded. Like, you know what I mean? Everything else is just giving it to you raw. But it ain't fiction. So,
It's definitely not. And again, I love how the story really brings that to life. You talked
mhm.
about RZA. What was it like working with him and bringing his vision and his story to life?
Yeah, RZA, we got our own dance already. You know what I'm saying? What was it like? It was like going back to the gym. We've been hitting the bag. We've been working on a jab. Bang, bang. We've been working on a jab for like 2 years. Now we just came with a two. Boom! Hit him. Knock the head back. You feel me? Line him up for that three, which is a hook. That's what we coming with next. So it's you know, I felt comfortable. I felt like I was warmed up. And it has its challenges when it's just like us. You feel me? I feel like this whole thing is really RZA, Miss Talani and Shameik Moore for real. Like at the end of the day, like I think we really you know this is the beginning, and I know he has a whole. He's creating the Wu universe, and I'm happy to be a vessel for change. I feel like my whole trajectory in my career, dope, the Get Down, Wu-Tang, Spider-Verse, I played really culturally impactful characters that represent different flavors of black men. And this movie just makes sense, but it just still shows so much range. And I know he and I are aiming at the same target. So at the end of the day, this just felt comfortable. Like this is our field, you know. We cooking the best. They gotta come find the purple tops, you know. Ain't nothing like this on the streets right now. They gotta come look for us.
I agree. I agree. It's definitely refreshing because there isn't anything like it currently on the market. You
Mhm.
talked about the jabs hitting the gym. Let's talk about the fighting scenes.
Yeah.
How much of it was actually you versus a stunt person, and how did you feel doing those fighting scenes?
All of it was me. I don't know why everybody is like, thinking that this was a stunt double, but nah. But I will also say, normally people have 3, 6 months to train for movies. I want you to really take time and ask everybody, Tom Cruise, you know, whoever the name is. I don't, Denzel, Will Smith. I had 3 days. You know what I'm saying? And you ask OG, like the they thought I was gonna do this movie and not do the action. What? I've been fighting since I was 20 years old. Boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai. Like this isn't a game. This is that. I know it in real life. So learning choreography is like you're dancing. You know what I'm saying? It's not even we're not taking the punches and whatnot. So this is a piece of cake, and I can't wait to do it on a even like the next level. Like I feel like this movie. I got into acting because my dad and I used to watch a bunch of action films. That's the genre I like to watch with my father. You feel me? So I went and did Dope and I did Incredible Crew before and all these other roles, which I'm very thankful for. But this is the role that allows me to step into the space that I actually dreamt of being in regarding being an actor. Like I'm just now getting here. So, um, yeah, that's just, it's
Do, do you
exciting.
do you feel like you arrived?
I feel like I feel like you can't look at me the same anymore, you know? After this movie, I feel like it's definitely an evolution.
We do have to wrap up, but before we let you go, what is one thing that you want audiences to take away from One Spoon of Chocolate?
Hmm. One thing I want audiences to take away from One Spoon of Chocolate. Change only comes when you initiate it. Change only comes when you do something about it. Is that what I want people to leave with? I want people to leave assessing their life, really, and what they're doing and, how they're thinking. I want people to leave, mm, people in general, and then there's black men. I mean, that's so funny because I specifically think about black men in this movie more than like everyone, which but when I think about everyone, I think the message has got to be just like let's not let's just be better. You know what I'm saying? It's good versus evil, not black versus white. You feel me? Let's just be better. It's about humanity. We share this earth. There's a lot of real things going on in our reality that we kind of do this too. I mean, we all see what's going on in the news and we stop talking about it. And like, you know, um, back to that, these things are not fictional. These things are happening in real life. They just write it up as a drunk driving incident. They just write it up as you know, oh, this kid was doing this at the gas station, and so we had to put him in jail. All sorts of stuff goes down on paper, just like on the internet. Like things look a certain way when you read it, but it's not reality. Just like a movie. So anyway, leave feeling inspired. What message do I want you to take from it? Hey, let's come together and let's do something about it. We got to build for the future of humanity.
You've been in a number of films, big projects. What was it like getting into this role?
I mean, Ramsey was pretty chill. Luckily, RZA, and shout out to RZA for allowing for us to create grounded characters. You feel me? Ramsey got to come from like a few different real places. You feel me? Um, and of course, I get to kind of play in my career when it comes to different roles and sizes. And luckily, Ramsey kind of fit like a glove in a bit. So it was a very like cool little transition space from my last role to Ramsey. But they so different. You feel me? One is Langston, who is this colorful, person, and then you got Ramsey, who is more like he still has personality and characteristics and charisma, right? That'll draw you to him, but he has this like uh rugged deepness that he doesn't get to show until like Shameik's character Neat kind of brings it out of him. So it was pretty cool. I got to create a character who got to gradually grow in his strength, but also just kind of hit home for RJ.
What did you channel to get into that character?
Just a young black kid. Luckily, I lived this one, so it wasn't too it wasn't too hard to feel that a lot of the pressures that came in this movie, which is sad at the first, wake, but then it worked for the benefit here because it didn't take too much to kind of get the energy needed to kind of give my scene partners what they needed. And I think it, came across good on screen. You said that it kind of got to you a little bit. So
Yeah, I was very upset.
that's okay.
Talk about what was it like working with RZA?
It's so I'm a RZA fan from not just Wu-Tang, but mostly his acting career and body of work when it comes to film, right? Coolest person I've ever seen pop up in G.I. Joe, to be honest. Okay. But that just wasn't my only thing. When I seen the Wu-Tang show, right, it did definitely bring a different respect to the artist that he is, but also just the creative thinker and the powerhouse of a mover that he is for not just himself, but for the narrative to change on something. You feel me? To be a part of something that was a musical group that really transitioned hip hop into another wave, right? And then kind of came with something fresh and new. There's nothing like NWA. And then to get to see him do these same things as a director, you feel me, really take risks, not really ask permission to take these risks. he just does it. And he also empowers us to do that same thing. So to have a director that trusts you as much with your crazy as much as he trusts himself with his crazy, it just made us make sense.
What did you learn from him?
Don't apologize for the crazy stuff, because that's usually what works. We overthink stuff, especially as actors, man, because it's like, how do we look here? Are we selling this? Or he'll just be like, you thinking too much. Bong bong. You thinking too much. Just do it, kid. And I bet. Very simplistic. And it's way easier said than done, or easier to, kind of prescribe it rather than to practice it, yourself, because it does take a lot to not overthink things. Especially with something like this. You feel me? Because it's so easy to kind of fall into personal feelings, you feel me, or personal traumas, or everything in this script could trigger a young Black person. It could also trigger a white person, you feel me? So being actors that sit in these shoes, right? It takes a very strong balance of control and self-discipline, you feel me? It takes you really taking yourself out of your person, right? And then allowing for this character to live honestly, because it gets really scary and the lines can get a little blurred. You feel me? As actors, really dig into characters. You feel me? And it's important that you don't take your work body home, especially in a role like this, because it could begat so much, rage towards even your nicest neighbor. You love Miss Daisy in them in apartment 407, but now you mugging her. Oh, it's crazy. She didn't even do nothing.
So how do you sort of transition when you have intense scenes, right? Like this story really, the storyline centers around racism and racial violence.
Yeah.
When you in those scenes and in that character, and you just gotta switch off and go home, how do you transition?
I think about the fact that I have a best friend that's like a brother named Joe, and he's just as white as my teeth and my pupils. I mean, and my eye whites. And my nephew is too, with his cute little button self. You feel me? Uh, it's always just regrounding, right? Regrounding to your reality. Of course, you got to step out of it for the role, and also to give, your director and your scene partners who they need, not just what they need, because nobody needs nothing, but it's who they need to kind of bounce back and forth with. But just grounding yourself with things, even in the moment. Sometimes I'll that's just what I'll do. I'll be like, oh shit, it's getting scary, RJ. Yo, what you doing? All right, brother. I ain't want nothing. I'm gonna call you later, probably. You feel me? Just things like that.
Right, just get back in touch with reality.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. It's okay to step away from it for a little bit, but always bring that back, because it get
Mhm. It can get intense.
yeah.
So the title of the film, One Spoon of Chocolate, what does that mean to you, and how would you sort of describe it for people who are like, okay, what is this phrase? What does that mean?
I think when it comes to one spoon of chocolate, it does. I mean, a good example would be, the kid that's so called the nerd, right,
Hmm.
in school. That one kid more than likely gonna own the next 6 apps that we use, right? But
Yep.
we didn't pay attention to them. All of us are studying the regular curriculum. You feel me? So we're achieving, but he's overachieving. But he's going to change the way that we do things, or she's going to change the way that we do things. So it's even there's white chocolate. It wouldn't change the milk the same color, but you know could definitely help the flavoring in a different profile. You feel me? Yeah. It's like just a little something different can change things for the better, or change things into what they're supposed to be. There we go.
I like that. I like that. So speaking of changing things, what is it that you hope this film changes? Whether in society, in culture, or just like in the film industry.
I pray that it changes. And it's not the first time that I've seen a film like this, and I don't even know if RZA would describe it in this way, but I love the fact that we kind of sent the nuclear bomb to the essence of sundown towns with this movie. You feel me? Like really a big nuclear bomb. The rage that you felt in this movie watching it, right, doesn't come from just a place of our history. You feel me? It comes from a reality space that is protected in our country. You feel me? And it's a really sickening problem that these spaces exist. There's spaces in a country that is so-called free that we cannot walk without being killed and protected. You feel me? Like that's a sick thing. I'm totally against sundown towns. I feel like it's the sickest thing that could ever be. You feel me? No province should be stated in that way. Like, and why is it something that nobody has ever tried to change? Why does no political leader try to change that? Why do we not attack sundown towns as we attack so-called drugs? Or you feel me? We're sending things to other countries to disturb, but there's wars that can legally be protected in our own country. That's a little to me. You feel me?
What inspired you to want to tell this story?
Well, it's inspired by true life. Like I took in that route from New York to Ohio. I was on probation, and I did get to a town of corruption. Um, uh, I've experienced it like in the young days, and so when I was writing it, it was almost I started writing it 13 years ago, and things weren't I guess as they are now. In fact, 13 years ago, we was probably having a good time. I think Barack Obama was president or something. Things is
Mm-hmm.
good, I guess. I don't know. But I saw, I just, as an artist, I found ways to find things that happen in my life and turn them into bigger stories. And then some of those stories end up uh, consuming life itself. That's what art does, right? You could like when the artist goes to make a painting, he could be painting a flower, but then he has to paint the things that's around that flower, and that could be something he saw in his imagination or something that he creates. So it's kind of similar for me as a writer and as a director. Took something from my life, took some things that I've heard also, and then took something I wanted to say, and I put it all together.
I love that, RZA. So you say that you spent some time in Ohio. I know the film is in a sundown town, which is, historic towns where Black people were not welcomed or embraced outside once the sun went down because racist people, Ku Klux Klan, they ran the town. Police departments, fire departments, they were running everything. Are you saying you had that experience?
No, no, not to that degree. No, no, of course, not to that degree. I mean, I had the experience of corruption, but no, no, I haven't been. Look, I grew up on Staten Island. I'll just be
Mm-hmm.
quite honest with you. In my day of Staten Island, and this is, I'm not saying it to say it, but no, no, if you went past a certain street in the old days, yeah, there's a bunch of boys with bats waiting for you. Okay. But in all honesty, that same street now, I go to the bar and all the drinks is free for me. So,
Mm.
so it has evolved. So, the point being made, I've seen it. Now, Staten Island is an evolved place. Many places around our country is evolved. There are places that are not evolved. And even if we evolve physically, then we evolve mentally or spiritually. So even though there's that goes back and forth, there's a tolerance of culture uh, everywhere. But is there something still inside of us? You know what I mean? That make you feel like, yo, they're doing that to me because of that. I'm being shunned because I'm Black, or I'm being shunned because I'm a woman, or I'm being shunned because I'm a brown man. Or even, as my white brothers was telling me a few years ago, right after the pandemic, they said, oh, it's tough being a white man. You know what I mean? Uh, because of the business was like firing the white men for a minute. So point being made, these type of things find their way into the culture. Then as an artist, you have to put the context of the struggle of a story into a character. Now, every young Black viewer of this movie can relate with Shameik. But I also hope that a young white viewer can relate, because I hope that you're able to say that this is good versus evil. This particular movie, a lot of this particular film, a lot of the writing came on the back of a tour bus driving through our country. And this is what, you know, this is what had to come out, I think. I think like it was like something that the art drove me. I didn't drive the art. And when I finished it and I read it, I was like, yo, okay, this is my next movie. Because I was writing, I started first, to be honest with you, Selena, I was writing something that was like very different than this. It was like something that took place in Hong Kong. I was writing some shit like that. And my pen got stuck. Like I couldn't get past page 7. And then I went back to this story, which had about 40 pages, 40, 50 pages. And I was like, maybe I could add to this. And I started adding. And as the journey through this country kept going, the words kept pouring out, and the concepts and the conversations and the you know the energy of it just kept coming out, and then it ended up to where it is, and we decided to make it a movie.
What message is it that you want audiences to gain when they watch this movie?
Well, the most simplest message I hope they gain is preparation. That you got to prepare yourself. Our hero says it. It ain't because I'm Black or white or better than you, but I was better prepared, and we have to be better prepared for whatever it is. I don't care if it's just driving on a road trip to a picnic, bro. Make sure you got some bug repellent, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Be prepared, yo.
Do you think, because the movie tackles a lot of racialized violence. Again, the hero of the movie, he was attacked first by a gang of white locals when he came to the town. And to your point, preparation was an underlying theme in it, and a number of other things. Do you think that could be a solution to racism, the racism that still exists today in America? What do you think is the solution?
Wow, that's a big question. I don't know if I'll be able to answer that on this run, but I'll say this to you. He said in the story, he read from our forefathers. He said that it's self-evident that all men are created equal. Black man, red man, yellow man, wool man, white man. All. So it ain't just the men, even the women have to be all created and treated with the same equality. And if everybody would treat everybody with that same equality that's written, this is our 250th year anniversary of this country, right? So 2 + 5 is 7. So it's a God year for us as a country. And if we really go ahead and when it says self-evident, it said endowed by their creator. So therefore God is mentioned in this document. And so we have to take God as take your creator as the highest form, and then realize that every of the creation is equal. And I'm not better than you. You're not better than me. Okay. The only thing that's going to make you become better than me, if you went to the gym every day and you was lifting fucking weights and I was sleeping all day, I'm not going to be able to lift what you can lift. All right. You prepared yourself. So that's where the preparation come at. But before we get to that, the equality must be accepted in our hearts, mind, and body as natural. And I think it's more important in America than anywhere, because America, we're the smallest. It's not a lot of us, bro. I don't even call you bro. That was my slang jumped out. But it's only 350 million Americans in the whole world out of 8 billion, 800 million people. We are a fraction of the population. We are a fraction of those who even think, who knows what shaman tissue is, okay? And at the end of the day, we subdivide ourselves, and that's foolish of us, when we should be unified and make sure that every one of us, at first, every one of us should be good. We only can work on making good in the world. We got to make good at home first. You know what I mean? And to me, like I said, that the solution has been written way before this country even was deemed a country.
You know, RZA, hearing you talk, you still so much believe in the power, America's potential. right? Despite its past, despite its present and everything going on, it sounds like you're still optimistic and hopeful. And so is the character. The main character is still, at one point, even though he's going through all of this, he pledges allegiance to the American flag, just
Yeah.
showing that he still believes in America. What is it that makes you still believe in this country?
Listen, first of all, I traveled the world enough to know that we are the shit. America is it. It's beautiful here. But also it's home. It's where we put our lives in. Our lives for hundreds of years is here. Our DNA is in the soil. Our DNA is in the bridges, is in the buildings. And I think that the idea of what it's supposed to be, the original idea, is real. And it's just when do we get a group of men that sit in power that their total objective is to live out the original idea, not to interpret it. I don't need nobody to say 5 + 5 ain't 10. All of a sudden, it's 5 + 5 is 5. It could be 55. No, don't try to trick it around, bro. I got 10 fingers, bro. Keep it simple. It's self-evident. Meaning that it's evident to everybody. It's self-evident. I don't need nobody to tell me that. The truth doesn't need proof. The lie needs to be proven because of the lie. The truth is automatic. So yes, I'm very optimistic.